Halloween week. Yeah, this time we're gonna look at a bunch of Jews hating on Halloween. Two is a bunch, right? Well, one does most of the talking, so take it away, Michael Rood. Oi, that was Rood interrupting me with a ticklish bell button and all things around it, while I'm about to, interrupt Mr. Rood here. How rude. And contrary to popular belief, I don't do puns.
Is there any way for a believer to properly observe the day? Is there something that we can, or even should, in your opinion, do during this time? Is there some involvement that we have? Because certainly there are people that say we need to stay away from it. It's completely pagan, although it's not. It's actually a Christian-based day.
Well, you took your time actually asking a simple question. Is it allowed for Jews to observe Halloween? Also, Christian? I don't know. You guys just took control of it. Also, you're not a Christian, you're a Jew. So what are you even on about?
And there are many who say, well, let's do something to replace it. But wasn't that tried by the
that's
church?
right. Hey, Chaim, this goes right back to the instructions, right back to the Torah.
Yes, the instructions. Something along the lines of thou shalt not engage in pagan rituals or something along those lines? Or maybe something along other lines. I don't know. I don't care. Go on.
Torah means the instructions from the Almighty. Do not learn the way of the heathen. Do not learn how they worship and serve their gods. Do the same thing and say you're doing it to me. It is an abomination.
Well, would you look at that? I was very close to the nonsense you're spewing right now. So your Almighty is still an insecure, petty little fella. Well, he should be a god. He's not very godlike, no is he? He sounds very, for lack of a better word, jealous. And that's not even lack of a better word, that's exactly what he is.
So it applies here too, the same thing that we talk about with the Christmas tree.
Well, let's not get started on the Christmas tree, because I also find it a rather silly concept. You chop down a tree, or you buy a tree, you take it back to your house, then you put some fancy decorations on it, and you celebrate Christmas. Hey, religious fellas, allow me to blow your mind. I am a lifetime non-believer, or irreligious if you will, and I also celebrate Christmas. Not because of the fancy man in the sky, or on the cross actually, or the crib? The crib? But mostly because it's a family tradition. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a party. Let me guess. Another abomination? Why are you guys always so extreme in your views? It's an abomination! Oh, jeez, man. The Muslim I just addressed in my previous video was very intoxicated by the word evil.
That applies to Halloween too.
That's right. Yeah, it's not just the Christmas tree. It's Halloween. It's the Easter bunny. All these things. I mean, Easter.
Now, I was going into this video expecting you two not to be party poopers, but hey, I just keep encountering party poopers. Why are you guys always pooping the parties? So what has jolly old Saint Nick done and fluffy Easter bunny?
The name of Easter is the name of the reincarnated wife of Nimrod. It's like, this is what the whole Christian world needs to wake up, is that the instructions are valid.
Oh, shut the hell up. Who the hell reads instructions anyway? I mean, your fancy Torah starts from the beginning of God creating the world. Science says something else. Not to mention the 10 Commandments. Really now, those are the most basic commandments we have ever come up with. And that is supposed to be some kind of divine wisdom. I mean, take for instance, thou shalt not kill, and compare it to our vastly superior human-made laws. We have first-degree murder, second-degree murder, voluntary manslaughter, and involuntary manslaughter. You wanna know why? Because murder and killing is a lot more complex than thou shalt not kill. Basically what it comes down to is, we can get rid of that crap because we have vastly superior systems in terms of laws, courts, and my personal favorite, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. But I, and also you, digress.
Not one jot, one vowel or consonant from the Torah has passed away. All has not been fulfilled, and until the wolf is laying down with the lamb and children are playing by the den of the venomous serpent.
What the hell was that? I mean, I can also do fancy words, and I don't even need a quotation book for that. Listen to this. Whenever you find yourself speaking of things which seem to make sense to you, maybe you should take a step back, just a little bit, to observe how other people perceive the things you are saying. But since you are apparently forbidden by your so-called instructions to learn of other people's ways and customs, you will always be stuck in this narrow frame of mind and will never be able to grow beyond the limitations you've set for yourself using these alleged, unquestionable, divine inspiration.
You know, the Messiah is reigning upon the earth. It hasn't changed. The Almighty says how he wants to be worshipped. Now, I've got this letter from a Penny DeWitt.
Yes, the Almighty says how he wants to be worshipped and forbids you to worship anything else, any other god, and this doesn't raise any red flags on your end. I mean, you are so close-minded, it's kind of sad, really. But hey, let's listen to Penny DeWitt.
And I'd like to read part of this. It says, this is written at Halloween in 2009. My name is Penny DeWitt, and I'm a recovering occultist, a former slave to Satan.
Really? How gullible do you think we are? That sounds like a straw man, Penny DeWitt. Or rather, straw woman. A former occultist, a slave of Satan, said no one ever. People don't talk like that. But do go on. I'll play your little game.
Below are just some of my thoughts that have been pouring through my mind today. Can I do pagan things if I just don't think of them as pagan?
No, because your God has set instructions into his manual that you are not allowed to engage in other people's rituals. So no, Penny, you are not allowed to do that. Trying to find some kind of loophole there,
What if I dance naked around a fire for Jesus?
Are you also making fun of my fire, Mr. Santa Claus-looking man? Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to make that joke. I mean, look at you. It's not an insult. It's like, hey, look, jolly Saint Nick. I didn't know you were a Jew. Also, Mr. Rood, I'm allowed to do this right now, because you are making up shit as you go along as well. I mean, this is not a real person. No one would say that. No one would send that. This is just something you made up to have something to talk about on your television show here. Television? Is that still a thing?
Instead of for Hecate. What if I get a new deck of tarot cards, assign each of them a Bible story, and use them to get closer to God?
Yeah, and while you're at it, why don't you just build a big old cross in your backyard and set it on fire and then dance around it with your tarot cards with biblical stories on it and just blah 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 blah. That's exactly the same thing you just said. Or that. Ragical makes more sense than you. Or rather, your hypothetical Penny DeWitt.
Why don't I redeem orgies and abortion for Christ while I'm at it?
You're really getting into ridiculous territory right now, mate. Mr. Rood, do you really think people... Well, your people who are following you are probably falling for this crap, but not me. I see through your little scheme, Penny DeWitt. More like Penny what the fuck.
For that matter, why don't I just back up for business again as a psychic and dedicate it to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Okay. Then she goes on and she says, of course, I would never do such things.
No, of course not. And you want to know why? Because you would actually send a cease and desist letter. What with her muscling in on your woo peddling.
And then she goes on to tell of her testimony, what happened to her. She says, it doesn't matter if you change your intentions. If you read the Bible, you'll see as I have, and most people don't read the Bible.
Careful now, Mr. Rood. You don't want people reading your fancy little book there. I mean, that usually has quite the opposite effect of what you're trying to achieve, getting more followers. It's a well-known fact that many non-believers who were previously religious have read the Bible and were like, hey, that does make sense, so what am I doing here? So once again, tread carefully.
That the one thing that always ticked God off the most is when his people adopted the customs of the pagans. It was an abomination to him.
Or in other words, you shall not play with other kids or I'm gonna tell my mommy. And my mommy doesn't like abominations. I mean, really, what are you trying to do here? First of all, you have to prove God never mind. I don't do exercises in futility.
He is the same yesterday, today, to ever, and it still angers him when we adopt pagan customs, even if we try to do them with different intentions. And Israel did this.
You know what, God? Cry some more.
That's why we got thrown out of the promised land, because we did this. We were warned about it.
It's always the mixing.
That's right. Once you mix it in, you can't get it out, and you will be overcome with evil because you're in direct rebellion against the instructions of the Almighty. You will be taken down the sewers.
Really? You're gonna go into holy threats now. Let me guess, what's next? The hellfires?
Into the sewers of hell.
Well, that's kind of a new one. The sewers of hell. Huh. So what? Shit is on fire there? So it is like, roasted shit? Barbecued shit? What the shit? My god, this guy on his cloud up there, he's like a really entitled little brat, isn't he? It's like, if you don't want to play with me and you're gonna play with other kids, I'm gonna set you on fire. He's a psychopath, mate. God needs some serious psychologists to work on his case. Oh, boy.
If you do it, you can't help it, people. You can't redeem what the Almighty has called an absolute abomination.
Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me of the bully in school who is stronger than the other kids and takes someone's arm and then slaps them with their own hand and constantly says, "Stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. Shut the fuck up, kid. You're going into detention right now, God." Also, for this hellfire, I have a friend. He doesn't talk much, but I don't think Satan likes him because he feeds off demon energy. And the harder he gets hit by demons, the more powerful he gets, so I like this guy.
She goes on to say, as I sit here and I watch many Christian brothers and sisters posting on Facebook about their Halloween activities. My heart breaks. You see, I spent 26 years in the cult. I started out with Wiccan as an adolescent. You know, this harmless white witch stuff.
So let me guess, she came from a cult, which is not really a cult, it's just normal people, and goes into an actual cult. Religion. Right? Hey, by the way, Doomslayer, you are really Doomslayer, right? I mean, I'm making a lot of powerful enemies here. I could use your help. This is Halloween and all, so I'm not sure if you're the real one. Well, I guess that's... I got my answer. Maybe.
And throughout the years, moved on to every corner of alternative spirituality that I could find. Shamanism, New Thought, Rosicrucianism, Eastern mysticism, you name it.
Gee, how convenient. This real person, this really real person has dabbled in all kinds of occultness and paganness and, oh boy, you were really trying to sell this as a real person, eh? Or at least A for effort. Hey, you might be the first one who gets a sticker.
At age 24, I became a professional psychic. I spent 15 years serving Satan this way. I made a lot of money, had my own radio show, developed a worldwide following. I was on top of the world, but slowly my mind started falling apart.
So, Penny DeWitt, the ex-psychic, huh? The world-famous radio hostess. If she is so world-famous, how come Google only shows one little tiny page where she says something about being an infiltrator into the churches and claims that the new movie Son of God is somehow a New Age infiltration into Christianity? Now, there's also a link on that page, and there's nothing there. So, how world-famous is this woman? Kinda makes me wonder about the rest of that insane list of satanistic and hedonistic and paganistic nonsense you're peddling here. Now, I'll leave the link in the description to that page where there's something about her, but, it's not much for a world-famous radio hostess.
Before it was over, I was evicted from my home. My daughter was writhing on the floor, growling, hissing, and clawing at the carpet on a daily basis.
This just keeps getting more and more ridiculous, isn't it? So, now, you got some information from some weird-ass horror movie? It seems rather convenient. This woman has a huge list of things you don't approve of. And guess what? It doesn't even matter, because even if everything on that list is true, it still does not prove anything about Halloween being a bad thing. You go live in your little fantasy world. We only care when you start peddling your nonsense onto other people. Other than that, go play your little game.
And when this happens to your children, people, you know you need help.
Yes, help in the form of professional care, like psychiatrists, for the kid who's crawling and growling on the ground. Really?
I sought answers. I tried all my techniques. I reached out to others. Eventually, I started praying. I told God that if he didn't give me some answers soon, I was going to kill myself so that I could stand before him and get them myself. And then she went on Sunday,
and
September 9th. She got saved.
Oh, did you almost get your stories mixed up there? You know, I'm kind of wondering, what happens if some random person would send some story? Would you also be really interested in that? You know, if it fits your narrative?
The following Sunday, she burned her occult books. She was baptized. A few weeks later, her own sister got saved and left prostitution in the porn industry. My daughter, who was not raised from birth in occult, who was raised in birth from occultism, doesn't miss Halloween at all. She said once, I can't wait until Halloween comes, so we do not celebrate it. Halloween is pagan, it's based on witchcraft, and it's part of my own life. And see, the whole occult world knows this.
So... she also has a sister who has the same problems. Oh boy, this just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? Do you hear yourself talk? Oh man, I already did it in the last videos, right? You really need to step back and listen to yourself, mate.
Yeah.
And so there's no redemption.
They're still keeping this Day of the Dead, and they don't even like Halloween because they feel it takes away from their keeping the
It does. So get Christ out of Halloween and get Christ out of Christmas, and let's get back to the feast of the Lord, which he told us to keep forever.
But I can say one thing. We can use this time of year to pray for these people and to say to our children, this is not something to be played with.
Well, don't look at me. Why should I say anything? They didn't say anything. There's no retort here, because there's nothing to retort to. This is just a bunch of words thrown together to form a sentence that is not actually a sentence. It's just hot air.
The spiritual world is real, and there are dark forces, but we are the light, and so we're not to go into that, but we can pray for those people, and we can take this time of year to go with the reality, because you know what? Most Christians don't believe that there even is a spiritual world. They don't believe that Satan is real. They don't believe in all that. They've thrown it out, and that they're playing around with stuff that they think is fake when it's very, very real.
So yeah, other man, I don't know his name. Now I understand why he doesn't talk much. I mean, he doesn't say anything. We know the spirit world is real. Prove it. I mean... So they don't like the nonsense story of Halloween because it doesn't fit their nonsense story. It's like hot air bumping into hot air. Nothing will happen. Well, you get more hot air into one area, but... I sentence you to be a jester in the Order of the Sillies there, Mr. Michael Rood. The other guy, not so much. He ranks lower than Pret. I mean, Pret actually says things. Doesn't make any sense, but he does say things. This other man, just makes noise. Did I say I do hope you enjoy your stay? Well... Michael Rood, don't be rude. And on that note, remember to tickle the bell and button and all things around it. That sounds wrong, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. I hope you guys have a fantastic night.